Good morning. Good morning. Welcome. Good morning to the Ecliptic Spiritualist channel. Good morning, everybody. I'll wait for a few people to get in the room, but while we're here, good morning. Our class today is about we're continuing series on the moon magic and how the moon flows from phase to phase, and most importantly, how it flows into you. How does the moon affect you? Okay. So that's what we're continuing our series. We started off a few weeks ago on the new moon, and now we're just flowing into the different phases. There's 9 phases. And then today, our topic is the full moon. Okay, so hit the likes if you're in the room. We're getting started. So we're hitting it on the head about the full moon. So last week, um, through a full moon experience, which was considered the Virgo full moon. And so now today's is on the full moon going through the 9 phases, but we're actually in a waning gibbous energy after the full moon. And today we're actually in the first quarter. But today, just telling you the flow of things, that again, when we started this series, the moon quickly moves through her phases very smoothly. She on a daily basis do linger. But if you are joining on the first day of the series, you can go back through the channel here and pick up from the other uh, 3 or 4 that we've done. I believe we've done 4. I'm losing track. So we've done from new moon, waxing. I mean, we're moving through. So, and the reason why we're talking about the full moon series and the magic of the full moon, we actually started on a divine infinite. Let me recap on the first video. So go back through that. The divine feminine energy, divine infinite is divine masculine and feminine. But the full moon, the moon is all about the feminine of us. We are 2-part beings. Okay. So hit the likes if you're in the room. Make sure you write in the chat that we're full moon in bloom. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. And so with the full moon, she moves from cycle to cycle. Again, I'm recapping from the beginning, so I'll wait for those to come in. She has a 27.5 to 29.5 cycle. So that means it gets into the 30 to 31 days. Okay. So that's how she flows. And what happens is she continues that way, and then she has a very strong effect on us here on Earth. Now, it's known here on Earth that we currently have just one moon that's known, but there's a lot of star energy that has influences over us. So let's get right in. So the full moon is all about her archetype is Earth Mother. Okay, so the full moon's archetype is Earth Mother. Okay, and that's considered Gia. Gia, good morning, everybody. Archetype is Earth Mother, and that's what she is. She's Earth Mother, and she's considered Gia, Gaia, a topic that we talk about in our classes and our self studies on Patreon. And she represents the full moon, represents of summer, okay, at its highest peak. Summer is considered the highest peak and is considered full bloom, full bloom. The full moon's theme comes as several. Okay, she has several themes as you would pay attention to the new moon intention sets. When you start off with the new moon, it has an energy of whatever your intention that you're going to set with that new moon is normally adjacent to the new energy that's coming in with the sun magic of that zodiac, and she normally is aligning herself with that same energy zodiac. So it's normally possibly between, they normally either 2 degrees from each other or 3 degrees. They're right overlapping. Okay. So in the new moon, there's that new zodiac that's beginning. That's our theme. And then she also aligns with the sun, and she aligns herself with that same zodiac. So she's normally 2 to 3% degree, if not totally overshining. So that's the new moon. You can go back to that video. So what happens, there's an intention. So moving right along. Um, so you want to put into the new moon intentions that you set, because it carries you through each the cycle, and it takes you to this peak moment, this bloom moment of the full moon. And so the themes of the full moon, when you get to this spot, it's normally abundance, completion, illumination, radiance, joy, celebration, embodiment, and fertility. So that's normally the flow of the flow of the theme of the full moon. Okay, so a key thing for me when it comes, I'll give you my own personal life experience. A key thing for me, most of the time with the full moon, is embodiment. My theme is normally embodiment of or joy. Hit the likes if you in the room. It helps the algorithm. So, and you will find out what your theme is as you work closely with the cycles as well. Okay. So yours can possibly be similar to mine, or it could be abundance, completion, illumination, radiance, joy, celebration, embodiment, and fertility. But most of all, we want to know that the full moon is the peak. It's like the season of summer, and what comes after the full moon is the waning energy, which we're currently in now as this video is being made and as it precedes me. We're currently in the waning energy, and we're actually in first quarter today. But the waning energy that follows after the full moon is just giving you a highlight, because next week we'll get into that. It's similar to autumn or considered fall. Some of us call the autumn equinox or fall equinox, depending on what vote you vote or what area you were raised in, that you may say those things. Okay. So, or it's autumn and fall. And so after the full moon, it's a time to release and let go with the full moon. I'll tell you a little teaching on something that I do privately. As you know, I do full moon and new moon focus videos a lot here. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Um, if you're new to the channel, welcome. And those that will see this video, you will notice that in the scope of things from 2017 on, you will see that I always focus on the new moon and full moon, because those are pinnacle times, and also too, those are um where I was guided to focus on the channel aspect. Okay. And in social media, but in the private set, in my own private cycle energy circles that I've been in and currently in. And so you'll see that I lean towards that. But however, I'll let you know, and on my teaching that I do, I teach working with the lunar cycles. You'll see that all the time. A little different to those that's in the collective. Okay. With working with the North Node family, that's our community, our tribe, or our private sacred circle, and those that I've known for some years, as well in my own private, those that's authority areas for me, authority over me, that I've gone through training with and learned and moved forward. I wait until the waning moon to do all of my releasing and forgiving practices instead. So lots of times, the what you'll hear and you'll see on the videos with me, I will share a lot about forgiveness and releasing with the full moon. Is something that we do as human beings, we should do. But mainly, I talk about that a lot, which is very important, but I actually don't apply that area of release and forgiveness practices until waning aspect for me. But you'll find out what works for you. And I use the full moon to embody my new moon intentions. Okay. And it's a time to enjoy the fruit in my where I do things for me, and you'll find what works for you, is that I find that it's a time to enjoy the fruit of my labor of doing my intentions with the new moon, much like in summer. And it's a time to use the full moon energy in a way that suits you. Okay. So I'll repeat that. With the full moon, we talk about forgiveness and releasing a lot, which we should because it goes in the full moon. But in my own private practice, I do my forgiveness and releasing in the waning stage at the full moon. Hit the likes if you're in the room and say full moon and bloom in the comment chat below. That lets me know that you're present and that you're listening. Okay. Um, And so with the full moon, it embodies my new moon intentions. I teach that in the North Node master classes and in the self practices. Okay. So I like to work with my new moon that I set intentions with. I like to enjoy the fruit of my labor. That's why I call it the embodiment enjoy, because I'm seeing what I have set my intentions to with the new moon. And it's like summer, and it's a time to use the full moon energy in a way that suits you because you did some work and then it's shining bright, right? So you're like, wow, I'm seeing what I sowed, what my fruit of my labor is. If you haven't set any intentions with the new moon or things along the way with tracking and seeing as things grow, then you may not have anything to rejoice or joy about. So when you hit that waning aspect after the full moon, then you making sure you're doing your forgiveness and you're releasing, because it brings about restoration. Because when the waning kicks in, then you're more going within and you're feeling the restoration of the forgiveness and the forgiveness and the releasing stages. Okay. So you reflecting, you can feel that of that rest restoring you. The moon is closing down because it's like now getting ready to head a different direction, going back into the moon. It's the restoration time of what you put in because it hit that peak of summer and then it starts going away, which is autumn and fall. Fall starts to wither away. Things are withering away, right? In autumn, things start to change from one season to the next. And that's how we should be operating. That's my personal opinion of because you get more traction in your life when you're working with the cycles of the full moon and when you're working with the cycles of the seasons, because working with a whole year to change things, that's a long duration. But if you're working with seasonal things to bring change in your life, you get more of a quicker result, especially when there's things that you've been working on and believing on for a long time. That means that you don't lose expectation in the process. You have to still hold on to the hope of that, because hope brings in expectation and acceptance that what you have put out here is just a matter of time of it showing up, but it's already being done because you what creating it. Okay. So moving right along, and good morning to everybody and those that will see the playback. Moving right along, I feel like if we skip straight to releasing and letting go, it's as if though we're skipping from late spring and then jumping right into autumn. Okay. And haven't had a chance to enjoy summer. And that's an important season. It's an important season to enjoy the seasons, that you're not always grinding it out. You have to know when things are in. And that's what the cycles would teach you. Okay. So, all right. And so we tend to feel more expressive during the full moon and empowered. And like we are at what? Full moon. We at bam. We're right there. Okay. And also we're illuminating that energy. We're illuminating that energy. So releasing with being in summer, okay, with knowing, okay, great, I've hit where I've set my intentions, on some areas. And all keep in mind that setting intentions with new moon is not always mundane or things that's a material thing. Some things is just getting a sense of I just want, and attention can be I just want some peace and joy in my life. I want recovery. Okay. So that is something that you're setting an intention on to when that full moon is start, bam, then you will feel that change. It may not be a completion because you may need to add additional. Okay. So some of the symptoms of the full moon is sleep deprivation, sleep deprivation leading up to the full moon and on. Okay, some of us experience that energy. How you like, oh my God, I'm losing sleep. I know me personally, I do. And you may do or you may not. Everybody's cycles are different, how they respond. But when you tune in with the cycles, how you will know, most importantly, is that are you doing journaling it and keeping track of how you do things with this particular cycler system. Okay, and this so number two is excess of you have excess or slightly agitated energy. Sometimes you're more agitated than norm. Okay, so you won't pay attention to that. Number three is working on creative release. You're working on your creative release side, whatever creativity is considered to you. The creativity is considered differently to everybody. It's not always what the world may focus mainly on music and those type of things. It could be whatever is creative from you because we all have that ability. We have to tap into it and ask the divine spirit God to bring that aspect out so that you can live a full creative life to create. So and also you want to work with the creative release and grounding work too simultaneously. If you feel that real high, okay, how do I set myself and be grounded? Okay. Moon bathing is a good way of working in this energy too, which is standing barefoot outdoors in nature and drinking in the light of the moon at full bloom. Okay, so that's a awesome way as well. And when you go to Patreon, if you're, and I strongly encourage you to join Patreon, you will see this in full writing more in detail about the full moon. And there's actually a playlist PDF that's there and how to boost your energy to make you think and jar your memory or do some brainstorming. So that is up on Patreon. When you go to Patreon on the North Node, you can join now and you'll find more in-depth information. Okay. And so here's a few things that you can do along with the full moon. It's mainly very in detail. I'm going to hit on the points of it, but it's in full detail on Patreon. Because when you're working with teaching yourself to do something, you actually have to put things in action. You have to be action driven and not be, I heard it and then, you know, it was, oh, that was so great. Bam, we on to the next. You have to apply things and to get it to change. And sometimes you have to mold it over and work it over for a very long time to you get it down inside of you of that change. Because lots of times we all are going through systems and changing areas in our life. So sometimes we have to practice something over and over and over and over and over and over till we get it. And your way of maybe learning something may be different than another person. Everybody processes differently how to interpret things to change in their life. My way may be different than your way. It's okay. We're all different human beings. We all come through different strategies, learning ways, but apply what works for you. But most importantly, apply. Okay. So few things that you can do that will help you go in depth is shadow work. You can do shadow work. If you don't know what that's about, you can go on to Patreon. I do a short briefing of this underneath the full moon, which will be posted today on Patreon. A second thing is full moon divination on your own with a reading on your own, or oracle deck on your own, or a tarot Rider Waite Smith. That's one of my favorite decks. As design, whatever is your favorite in the tarot. Um, you can do that, or you can get a reading from me, or you can use the Lunar Workbook. That's on tier 2 level. On Patreon, it's a workbook that gives you oracle instructions to pull and help you dive deeper into that aspect. Okay, so full moon divination. Number three is full moon rose water. You can do that as well. Those ingredients is on Patreon. Number four, emotion soothing tea. Another great way. Hit the likes if you're in the room. Hit the likes. Um, emotion soothing tea. The ingredients is on Patreon. Okay, I'm going over. If you're coming in now, I'm going over. Here are a few things that you can go in depth with, enlarging your effects with the full moon, doing something with the full moon, more mind, the brainstorming or jarring things out for yourself. Okay, so full moon rose water. Pardon me. Emotion, I mentioned emotions, emotion soothing tea, charging your crystals. If you have a crystal or one crystal or no crystal, maybe you need to guide yourself to see if that's something you need to do. I have how you work with it on the full moon on Patreon. I also have a full moon playlist sheet to stretch yourself, to do brainstorming, working through your memory, to jar, to write and add to yourself, of thinking about ways that how did everything come up to this full moon, and doing full moon magic for yourself. Also, you want to write or add to yourself their journals. Um, you can add that playlist to your journals, and incision it, maybe put it in a clear sheet, make a file for it, and put it in there so you can use it over and over again, print out news to jar yourself, to make you do something with the full moon. Okay. And it pushes you to express yourself. And also, that playlist gets you back in a routine as well. Because sometimes we get off routine, life comes in the way, our routines throughout the day, if something's changing, whatever things, getting back on track, getting on routine. It's very imperative. Okay. Making sure you have access to a moon app. Most of us have access to the internet or a phone. You have your cell service, something like that. It's good to have a moon app. Okay. A moon app helps you to guide each day, to go into your journal, draw out the moon where it is. Today we're as making this video, we're at 58.7% of first quarter. Okay. And so what I recommend, I've been recommending each video and teaching here, is to draw the moon in your sacred journal, color it in, write the percentage, write down what stage and what phase is in, and write down how do you feel with that phase. How do you feel with it? And that helps you to understand your cycle. Okay. Journaling is a sacred writing space for you, wherever you may journal. Daily gratitude is another way, and daily gratitude and thinking positive with meditation time, opposing the negative thoughts or past pain or present pain, is a daily input to know that you are abundant, you're full of joy, and you have expectations, and all the embodiment of the theme of the full moon. You have to, every day is a practice to ward yourself through the battle of the mind. And the battle of the mind is, you have an imposing thinking, and then you have the thinking to move forward. Okay, positive thinking, or the things of this